College. I'll just play football.
Oh, nothing like a little scramble. Nothing like it. A little scramble right at the last minute. I'll tell you what I mean. I'm not talking about eggs either. I'm not talking about scrambled eggs. Even though Beaver today was supposed to have steak and eggs for breakfast and intentionally skipped the eggs. That's another story we're going to get into, right, Beaver? Yeah. Well, no, look, I'm not talking about scrambled eggs. You know, it's kind of like a quarterback, the line of scrimmage. You've been working on your game plan all week long. You're ready for game day. You're ready for the first play. And after kickoff, you've got the football and you run out there. And as soon as you say hut, something breaks down in your protection and you have to scramble. Now the whole plan goes out, right? Well, nothing like a little scramble. And that's what's happening right here because I got breaking news for you. How big a deal it is, we will find out and decide for ourselves. I just saw it. I had no earthly idea that anything was going on with Texas A&M and the NCAA. In fact, those of you who are watching the live stream right now on Facebook and on Periscope and on YouTube, literally 30 seconds ago, you were going to see an entirely different title. It was going to say, hey, come join the show today in the Farm Bureau studio. Is COVID-19 going to delay or cancel the season? That's the question. And I had to go in and change it because just a minute ago I saw a link about Texas A&M getting popped by the NCAA, including a show cause for Jimbo Fisher. What? Yeah, I think all these links are real links to real stories and real information. I had no earthly idea anything was going on over there. So let's get into that right now, shall we? Hey, welcome into the show on this Thursday. I'm Matt in the Farm Bureau studio. Farm Bureau, go! With the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance across the great state of Mississippi. Hometown heroes for you because they're available to you in every city, county, locally. You just talk to somebody face-to-face and cell phone to cell phone. Text them. You know them personally. That's your local Farm Bureau Insurance agent. And we stay connected to you, speaking of that old cell phone right there, because of Spire, the #1 network in Mississippi. Spire, they get great deals, by the way. I just saw this. They extended the deal where you get the new iPhone XS Max, I think is the one of the newest ones. Not the 11, but you can get that phone free if you go activate a new line. So they're always doing great deals at Spire. You can see what that is at cspire.com. Yeah, look, there's two things I don't have. I don't have a sound thing that insinuates breaking news, and I also don't have Texas A&M's fight song on my soundboard here of fight songs because it's not really a fight song. It's kind of a march, and it's kind of like it's not all that oomph in it that the other fight songs have. So I just left it off. So I don't have anything that I could hit a button that says Texas A&M. So since it's college football, let's do that. Let's go college football. See, that's how it works. We're an ESPN station. Well, I can play the ESPN music all I want to, but I can play all the rest of them too. All right, here it is. Texas A&M has been penalized by the NCAA. Give me some more of that right there, man. They've been penalized by the NCAA and a show cause for Jimbo Fisher, the head coach. Here it is. Now, if you want to know where this is coming from, I have it here at cbssports.com. I'm over here pumping up ESPN. cbssports.com. Written by Tom Fornelli, CBSSports.com. Texas A&M football program penalized for NCAA violations. Jimbo Fisher receives a show cause order. Holy mackerel, that's a headline right there now. That's a weighty headline. So, what are the details? How long is the show cause? How big are the penalties for the program at Texas A&M, and what is this all over? Those are three things I'm going to cover with you right now. First, though, let me tell you that you can be a part of the show by texting me On the country pleasing text line, it is 885-ESPN. It's a 601 number, 885-ESPN, or 885-3776. Call me on the Davini phone, Davini Equipment, Madison and in Jackson. Got any Aggies out there? It's 995-1059. That's a 601 number, so call me. I'd love to hear your voice on the Davini phone, 995-1059. And hi to everybody who's tuning in on the live stream. Hey to Rob on the YouTube live stream. It's just Matt Wyatt Media over on YouTube. Look up the channel there and subscribe if you haven't already. What do they say on all the YouTube channels? Give me a thumbs up there, like the video, subscribe, and click that bell so you'll get notifications when we post a new video. Rob on YouTube says A&M is back to making ice because the person who previously knew the recipe graduated. Not a fan of A&M, are you? Lynn, hail state to you. Lynn saying hi on Facebook, facebook.com/Radio Wyatt. And Donnie says trouble follows Jimbo. Well, to this point, I don't know how you could argue that. So here are the details. A&M football penalized by the NCAA for NCAA violations. Hello, Gary, on Periscope. Good to see you. Jimbo Fisher receives a show cause order. Here are the details according to the story. 6-month show cause order for head coach Jimbo Fisher against the Texas A&M program. That information coming out today. You know what? I can't help. I'm just going to express this. We found out earlier this week that they still haven't set a date for SEC Media Days, the virtual SEC Media Days they're going to do digitally. I wonder if they were waiting on this just to see. Hey, Jeff, hope you're doing well. According to the NCAA release, Texas A&M violated NCAA recruiting and countable athletically related activity rules. What? Countable athletically related activity rules. Look, y'all, if you can't tell me what it is in 2 words or less, then it's too complicated. It's like a man said, I bought a cassette tape about how to get your point across in 30 seconds or less. Problem is, the tape was 90 minutes long. So the rules violations, recruiting and spending too much time doing athletics, happened between January 2018 and February 2019. That means we're kind of going back. It was right at the time that Jimbo Fisher got the job, right? As soon as he got there is when all this happened over the course of 1 year, that first year that he got there. And they've been, listen, y'all, did y'all even know that that A&M was even under any type of investigation at all? I had no earthly idea. Jimbo Fisher violated NCAA head coach responsibility rules. The punishments stem from an incident where this says Fisher and an assistant had impermissible recruiting contact with a player at his high school. The contact violated NCAA rules because it happened before the player had completed his junior year of high school. In addition to the recruiting violation, A&M and Fisher were also found to have ensured that the program stayed within, they were found not to have ensured that the program stayed within the allowable number of activity hours, practicing for X amount of hours and all that kind of stuff. So they were outside of all that. So the NCAA ultimately said that Fisher, here's the biggie, failed to promote an atmosphere of compliance. We've heard that one before. Because of his personal involvement in the recruiting violation, and that he failed to monitor his staff when he did not ensure the program was staying within the allowable number of countable athletically related activity hours. I cannot get over some of the stuff, the wording that the NCAA has to use. He put out a statement, I take responsibility. It's my responsibility to do this, that, and the other. 6-month show cause. They put out the release today. I'm assuming it's current. This says the terms of the show cause order include a previously served 9-day ban on phone calls, emails, and texts with prospects that happened earlier this year in 2020. It didn't hurt their signing class, did it? A reduction in off-campus recruiting contact days by 3 back in December, January. It also included a ban on all off-campus recruiting activities for the upcoming fall contact period. One-on-one rules education, and a public statement from the head coach addressing the violations. I mean, it's so vague. I mean, what's he missing? Are we saying he's already served the penalty, or is it what? Because if it's 6 months and it includes now, he's not coaching this fall, right? There's a $5,000 fine in there. I'm not really sure why I include that, but the 1 year of probation is a big deal. You don't want to be on probation and go break another rule. Hi to David over on Facebook. Kevin on Facebook says, Hail State from Austin, Texas. I'm sure that the Longhorns are going to like this. Well, I'm sure they are. I'm sure they are. So $5,000 fine, off-campus recruiting ban for the coaching staff that took place this past November. The school was also forced to end its recruitment of the player that they bumped into. They will not be allowed to recruit any players from that particular high school through the end of the 2022 school year. Whew. Okay, I don't know what school it is, but A&M's not popping up in there anytime soon. His last 2 recruiting classes have finished in the top 6 of 24/7 Sports composite rankings. Now, that's some of the details that are out there from this release. It's on ncaa.org. That is CBS Sports regurgitating it. But here's the thing, y'all, and I'm sorry, this popped up right before the show, and I can't tell you with certainty. If some of y'all know, explain it to me. What I can't understand by reading this is, what exactly is the penalty for Jimbo Fisher? What you say 6-month show cause, but then you tell me a lot of this stuff is retroactive, stuff he's already served. So is he done with it? Or is he still serving a show cause? Show cause means you can't coach. Brad on Facebook says, isn't Jimbo the second highest paid coach? Yeah, second to who? Saban or Harbaugh? I mean, what is he? He's $10 million. Here's the other thing I want to know. So the violations, y'all look this up for me, and then I'm coming to Wayne's phone call. I shouldn't be delegating work for you to do. I'll see if I can type it in Google. But when did Ross Bjork become the athletics director at Texas A&M? When did he get the job? Was it after Jimbo Fisher had already been hired as the head coach? It was, wasn't it? Because it was Woodward, or whatever his name is, who's at LSU now, is the one that hired Jimbo Fisher. And this stuff started in January 2018, the day Jimbo Fisher got there. So I guess what I'm saying is Scott Woodward goes to LSU from A&M, and Jimbo's already there, breaking a few rules here and there. And they hire Ross Bjork as the AD, and he comes in on all this. I guess that's the way that works out in the timeline. All right, here we go. Your feedback coming up. Coming to a bunch of texts to get to. So Matt and Hogjowl and True Maroon and Joe and Nails and Denzel, everybody, I'm coming to you. Nick, I'm coming to y'all real quick. First, though, Wayne's been hanging on a while on the Divinia Equipment phone line. Divinia Equipment, Madison and in Jackson. What's up, Wayne?
Man, when I called in, I'm headed to New Orleans, Louisiana to carry somebody to the airport, turn around, and come back.
Attaboy.
I made that promise before COVID-19. I told him I'll pick you up and drop you off right there at the spot.
Well, it's a good friend.
Hell yeah, but I'm trying to be. I've done gave them my word, but you were talking about A&M and, whatever the not really a fight song.
Yeah, right.
If a person hadn't seen that band, and if they hadn't seen them, they don't know what they missed.
I totally agree with that, Wayne. Their band in person, the stuff they do and the way they march, there's nothing else like it. But that's the thing about it. You'll know their fight song is not what we typically think of a fight song that's played like after a team scores a touchdown. It doesn't pump you up. it's a slow, steady march type of song is really what it is. And so I never even put it on the soundboard.
But I saw them when they came to Hattiesburg that time, years ago.
Yeah. Yeah, it's incredible.
They had a poor kid playing the tuba, and the top come off of his tuba. And he was still marching right there with them.
You know, Wayne, somebody, it might have been you, but somebody told me that story last year, I remember. They were talking about that.
That probably was me, but like I said, but hey, if a person can't go see, if they can go see that band, I mean, that's just unreal.
Yeah, it is. And I tell you what else, Wayne, I tell everybody that asks, the one visiting stadium in the SEC that everybody should make a point to go to, and to me, it's Texas A&M. I've been to all of them except the Swamp in Gainesville. And we know that it's Ben Hill Griffin Stadium. It's a little bit older stadium. I've been to all of them except that. LSU, Alabama, all of it. And I'm just telling you, the one that is a spectacle all by itself, before they even put the first fan in there, is Kyle Field at Texas A&M. I've never seen anything like it. It is over 100,000 people. It is 4 seating levels that go straight up around that stadium in every direction. It's incredible.
Like I said, I've been to Alabama, Auburn, LSU, Georgia, State, Ole Miss, Tennessee, but I never have been. But you see them on TV. They say they believe that thing will be moving over there. Like it is, but LSU.
Hey, look, I felt it. It still moves. The new stadium still moves, but the old one, before they renovated it, it really swayed back and forth. And I was about ready to get the you-know-what out of there the last time we were over there before they fixed that thing.
Well, man, y'all have a good one. Like I said, I ain't quite got, but I'm headed to Cajun country.
All right. Safe trip, and get back home safely. Thanks, Wayne. Appreciate you calling.
Y'all have a good one.
All right. You too. Kyle on Facebook says, this is so weird. It says show cause, but the release makes it seem like it's only recruiting restrictions. Also, college football Twitter is relatively quiet on this, and I agree. Kyle, listen, it's quiet. I got a text message about, I'm not kidding you, about 2 minutes before we came on the air from a friend of mine that said, are you seeing this Texas A&M thing? What is it all about? And I go, well what Texas A&M thing? And look, I've got my Twitter thing open over here. There's nothing that popped up about it. Sean on YouTube says, sweet shirt, where'd you get it? I got this shirt at the Mississippi State University golf course. They are on Twitter at Hail State GC. You can get one just like it. The Mississippi State University golf course has the best apparel. You need to trust me on that. It is the best stuff. It's the most durable. It looks the best. It fits the best. It lasts the longest. It's the best value for what you pay. And so just trust me on that. That's where you need to go. Hail State GC on Twitter, or call them. I didn't see anything about it. All right, here we go. I'm jumping into the text. We will have a commercial break coming up soon, but then after that, it'll be the Country Pleasing text line for a little bit. So glad y'all are here. Matt on the Country Pleasing text line says, thank God for Matt Wyatt, hashtag Hail State, hashtag no more Golick and Wingo. Well, look, Matt, everybody takes vacation every now and then. In fact, I'll be taking some soon. But don't forget, I've told you to tune in on Monday the 6th. Isn't that right? Yeah, tune in Monday on the 6th, because Jake and I are going to have something to tell y'all. Listeners of ESPN 105.9 The Zone, WRKS, ESPN Jackson, Central Mississippi, 50,000 watts. We're going to have a little something to tell you. Y'all need to tune in on Monday. Hog Jowl says, hey, Matt, I don't expect you to read this on air. I thought since today is your countdown day featuring the Razorbacks, you're ahead of yourself. Go back to the FPI and look. You're a little bit ahead. I'll come back to your information about Arkansas. True Maroon, I will watch the video you sent during the commercial break. I'll give you that. Joe on the text line says, I hope Tennessee gets popped too. Really? So, Joe, is the prevailing thought that Tennessee, little success under Jeremy Pruitt. Now they've got their legs back under them. Their recruiting legs back under them a little bit at Tennessee, just like they were doing at A&M. Well, not like they were doing at A&M, but similar. Are you insinuating that they're breaking rules too? And then unnamed, no, this is Walking Bully, not unnamed. Walking Bully says now we know why they hired Bjork, to navigate the NCAA process. That's what I was hinting at, Walking Bully. When Texas A&M hired Jimbo Fisher and then the AD leaves and goes to LSU and they hired Ross Bjork, everybody called it Ross Bjork because of what he was involved with at Ole Miss. It's like falling up. Like, why'd they hire him? What are they? I think you may be onto something. They knew what they were in for, apparently. All right, more text. Stick around.
There's a lot
Farm
of
Bureau
noise.
Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Hey, like my hog hat. That stands for Country Pleasin' Sausage. Country Meat Packers, a great Mississippi company. Let me tell you a little bit about them, huh? You want to know the reason that you need to sit down at the table and say, country pleasin', please? Here's why. It all starts with hand-picked, pure pork. No parts, no stuff. It's hand-picked ham, bacons, pork loins, the real deal. They produce Country Pleasin' in small batches also, which means consistency in every package. Spices, fresh ones that are mixed daily on site right there at the plant in Florence. The hand-picked pure pork is coarse ground for an old-style snappy bite, better flavor. Now, their smokehouses are not cookie-cutter houses either. They are designed and built for country meat packers and for their own smoking methods. And they use hickory logs that they split daily on site. They don't use hickory sawdust. The logs produce a better smoke, a stronger flavor. It's the real deal. They use a natural hog casing for their sausage. It's soaked in vinegar for a tender snap. Country Pleasin' Sausage is smoked in a 4-hour pure smoke process for the best color and flavor. And here's the thing, it's hand cut, so the package experience is great as well. When you check it out on grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast, you'll see what I'm talking about. And frankly, let me put it this way. It's the best tasting sausage you'll put in your mouth every time, period. That's Country Pleasin'. Have yourself a Country Pleasin' morning, and always text the show on the Country Pleasin' text line.
Guys, 2020 is here. So new year, that means we got some new products, and I know you guys are probably getting ready for this year coming up. So a lot of people in the equipment world, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing for 2020 that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. So we've got Kubota, we've got Toro, we carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, and it's dirty as all get out. But this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower. So we added this product last year, and I was just trying to kind of wade in the water with it just to kind of see what they would do. Number one stand-on mower out there. If you do your own research, get online. all roads are going to basically lead back to Wright. So and Red Max, so from the handheld to the Red Max mowers, we have everything here at Davini. You've got homeowner mowers, starting with a 100 series, going up to the 400 series, going up to your full-blown commercial 700 series and your diesel mowers. Yeah, so we've already gotten a lot of calls this year, commercial guys. They're getting ready to plan this coming up season, this coming up year, trying to get their equipment needs ready to go for their customers. So, a big part of our business is dealing with the landscape contractors, those guys that are out every day busting it during the summertime, cutting yards, cutting lawns, maintaining properties. We've got everything that you guys need.
I'm not complaining about the rain. I'd just like to say we've had enough of it where I live here for a little while. Hey, I think the sun's out, though. I can see out the window. Yeah, the sun's out. Maybe it'll dry up, and steam up, and the grass will start popping up, and I have to mow. Get myself one of those mowers. Kubota zero turns from Davini Equipment, Madison, or in Jackson. Highway 51, Madison, Spring Ridge Road in Jackson. I think we got more rain on the way. Hot temperatures. But that's okay. We expect it this time of year. We do not expect, though, to be getting show causes handed out to SEC head coaches. But that's what happened today. It's a little bitty, teeny, tiny show cause. And so we gotta figure out these details. I only saw it right before we came on the air, so I'm kind of learning this as we go, or trying to anyway. Y'all are seeing in real time how slow a learner I am. All right, welcome in. I appreciate you tuning in. However you're listening in the Farm Bureau studio. Y'all text me, call me, tweet me, comment if you're watching the live stream on Facebook or YouTube or Periscope. Lots and lots and lots to get to. Tyler on Periscope was asking me what's my favorite Mississippi State win of all time. I would say, for me, and obvious reasons, we all have our preferences, but maybe my favorite win of all time was either one of those my senior year, we beat Auburn over there in the comeback, or maybe the comeback in the Egg Bowl in 99, that was my senior year. But really 2014 at LSU, watching Dak Prescott go off might be my favorite. And then he asked me about my most heartbreaking loss, and I think for me, it unquestionably was our loss in the SEC championship game my junior year in 1998. We had I guess it was 14. Yeah, I had a 14-10 lead over Tennessee in the fourth quarter of the SEC title game, but couldn't hang on to the lead. And so I'd say that for sure is the most heartbreaking loss. Thanks for your question. And then Bob on Facebook is saying ESPN is reporting that Jimbo's show cause is through 2020, and the unnamed assistant coach also has a 6-month show cause. Okay, if that's what they're reporting, though, Bob, what I'm trying to figure out is that they're saying, okay, well, some of this other stuff was included. Are they saying he is going to coach this fall, or is he serving a show cause now, or is he starting a show cause now? If he's starting a show cause now, then Jimbo Fisher is not on the sideline for the 2020 season, assuming there is one. That's what I can't figure out. And I'll tell you what, and I know that in some ways maybe I'm in on it, but the sports media world is so shoddy these days and lazy and just out to lunch. Does anybody at any of these networks, like the story I read at CBS, CBSSports.com, or what you're getting at ESPN, does anybody there writing understand that what people want to know is, when is he serving the show cause? The biggest part of the whole story, it's not a $5,000 fine. It's not even when the violations happen. Now they bumped into a recruit. Okay, they're getting penalized. When are the penalties happening, including the show cause? Can anybody that is covering this, paid to cover this stuff for ESPN or for Texas A&M, realize that what people want to know is Jimbo Fisher serving a show cause, and is he coaching this fall or not? Somebody let them know. Nick on the Country Pleasing text line says, Jimbo out here cheating to go 8-5 every year. Look, man, it's life in the SEC West. You can be very good and still lose. You can do everything right in the West and lose. Get beat. That's why you better recruit in the top 5. He's been in the top 6. Apparently that's the problem. There it is. 2 years in a row, Jimbo Fisher at A&M's had recruiting classes in the top 6 in the country. You need to be in the top 5. Or your ceiling is 8 and 5. They were breaking rules the day he walked on campus, apparently. And I say breaking rules, stuff happens everywhere. But not to that. Tyler on Periscope said, which country pleasing sausage is the best? I've gone through this exercise before, and I always contradict myself. Right now, if I had to rank them right now, I'd go number 1, the rare, hard-to-find maple. Number 2, the readily available best flavor, in my opinion, which is jalapeno and cheddar. And then number 3, you cannot go wrong with the original smoked sausage flavor. I was on the green onion for a while, haven't had it in a while. You could mix it in there with anything, and I'd be right on board with that being in your top 3. What do we have here? We got a long text from Grumpy. Let's just get into it. Let's see what he says. On the text line at 885-ESPN, the Country Pleasing Sausage text line. Grumpy says, breaking news, Matt. Reliable but unnamed sources have stated that the Country Pleasing Sausage logo will be incorporated into the design of the new Mississippi flag. Because everyone loves Country Pleasing Sausage. Put that red hog up there. The only thing is, I kind of like the red hog right now being something that is kind of special and unique for like my country pleasing hats that not everybody has. You put it on the flag, everybody's going to have it. He says, in all seriousness, Matt, I know many of us have appreciated your firm Christian stance on the important issues facing our state. As they say, the tide has come in and all boats will rise. The power of our Lord Jesus Christ will move this state forward. Whether we realize it, we are all blessed to live here, Grumpy says. Have a great 4th of July, and God bless America, from Grumpy. You too, Grumpy. Thanks for those kind words, and I agree. Joe did confirm that what he is insinuating is that maybe Tennessee will be next because they are blowing and going, baby. Fulmer's back in charge, and the lines of communication have been greased, and they are cruising on Rocky Top. Hey, that's okay. Look, I've always said that the SEC is just more fun when Tennessee is good. And I know that means they're going to beat you some. But I just think maybe I don't know. I don't know why I feel that way. I just feel that way. I think the SEC is more fun when Tennessee is good. Anthony from Tupelo said, I missed the first 15 minutes of the show. What did A&M get popped with? We don't know, Anthony, because nobody can report worth a flip nowadays. I'm going to look up the ESPN story and see what details they have. The significant thing, Anthony, is that there is a 6-month show cause for Jimbo Fisher. We just can't figure out when he's serving the show cause, or has he already? All these idiots out here reporting on it can't apparently find that out. Sean on YouTube says, you go 65 in a 55 mile an hour zone, you're fine. Go 100 in a 55 and you eventually get caught. Bingo! Sean nailed it. And we all know what that connotation is and what that means. Denzel is telling us that the show cause for Jimbo Fisher started in November of 2019 through April of 2020. You mean to tell me that A&M negotiated a show cause for their head coach that began as soon as the season was over? Is that it? Because he coached in those last games. You know, I thought if you had a show cause, you didn't coach. You're out. That's a new kind of show cause to me. I still didn't watch the video True Maroon. I was doing other stuff. I'm sorry about that. I'll watch it in the next break. Pat on the text line says, Matt, I've been to 4 different locations and can never find maple. I'm in the Jackson area. Where's my best bet? Pat, this is what I would tell you to do, and it is worth your time. Call ahead and talk to the folks at Country Meat Packers in Florence, where they make the country pleasing sausage, or just go there and tell them, hey, look, I got to have some maple and see what they tell you. Lynn, hanging on the Divinity Equipment phone line. What's up, Lynn?
Going, Matt. You was talking about it, so I just clicked on the little link that brought it up on my phone when you was talking about the Texas A&M thing. It actually showed up after you mentioned it.
Okay.
So I didn't know about it until you said it. But I clicked on the link and I skim-read it while I was driving. Don't try that at home, folks. I'm a professional.
I'm a professional.
But anyway, it said that it's something like that. All I really got is it looked like a quote from Jimbo said, "I'm glad to have this completely behind us."
Okay. All right.
So now that means Bort's done a really good job there in Aggie Land, because I was already getting giddy that we weren't going to have to deal with Jimbo. That was going to make that A&M game easier, I felt. But
it is unbelievable to me, Lynn, that a program like
it's amazing
Texas,
what money can do.
what money can do, or something, or pictures of somebody or something. It is amazing to me, Lynn, that a school like Texas A&M can have this kind of investigation going on for the past year and a half, and not a single solitary soul knew about it.
Nobody knew.
It's incredible to me.
I mean, I'm not a media guy, but I got all kind of notifications. If you didn't know, nobody heard of people about it.
I know.
Information.
No,
it's
it's
like top secret information.
Well, and maybe the best decision they made was hiring Ross Bjork, who had been through this whole deal at Ole Miss, and by the time he got to A&M, he knew how to keep it quiet.
It looks like it. They don't get to keep their coach. That's gonna help them, because this is their year supposedly, and that would have been a hurt.
Good stuff, Lynn. Hey, Lynn, put down the phone and put both hands on the wheel, would you?
I'll think about it, man.
All right. Sounds good.
Have a good.
You too.
All right, bye.
Bye. Drive safely. You talk about covering it up. Wow, A&M. Hats off. Stick around.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Campuses are empty. The arenas are silent. For now. People here today are few and far between. But soon, a crowd will show up. It's not a matter of if football will be played here. It's a matter of when.
I'll be there. I'm sure you will be too. I'll see you there.
It won't be long now. Can you imagine the return of the crowds to see the return of the team? What a day that will be. And it will be soon. You know, you hear me say that C-Spire is the number one network in Mississippi. That's unquestioned. They are another great Mississippi company as well and really support local sports, high school. You know, you see their logo and their advertisements at Ole Miss and at Mississippi State and at Southern Miss and everywhere. And you may have heard this, you may not have, though. I mentioned this recently on the show, but there's a new thing they have at C-Spire called the Spire Health App. Okay, go to cspirehealth.com, read about it, sign up, and you put that app on your phone. And basically, if you have a minor ailment, a sickness, a minor health issue, something that, you know, we're not talking about a broken leg or a heart attack. I mean, you know, minor sickness ailments, instead of having to go to the doctor for that and sit in the doctor's office for an hour, if you live out, you know, drive 40 minutes just to get to the doctor's office, you pick up the phone, click on the Spire Health app, and within minutes, you are video chatting, like FaceTime. You're video conferencing, talking to a medical professional at University Medical Center. One-on-one, live conversation, like nurse practitioner, someone like that. And a lot of times they can tell you what's going on, maybe even diagnose you right there on your phone and prescribe something without you ever even having to leave your house. Check it out, cspirehealth.com and the C-Spire Health app. How you like my hog hat? That stands for Country Pleasin' Sausage. Country Meat Packers is a great Mississippi company. Let me tell you a little bit about it, huh? You want to know the reason that you need to sit? All right, coming up in just a couple of minutes, we'll jump into the countdown of 100 teams in 100 days. Today we are at 65. Y'all realize that? 65 days from today is Saturday, September the 5th. The first full Saturday of college football, supposed to be 65 days from today. And so today we'll have team number 65. I'll give you a hint. It's from the ACC. Yeah, at number 65. That's right. The countdown brought to you by Matt Anderson with National Land Realty, and we'll tell you about him as well. That's all coming up, though. Want to get this out there. Somebody texted in and said, well, Jimbo coached in the bowl game, right? Like, so if his show cause, air quotes, was from November to April, I thought he coached in a bowl game. Well, I did too. Is there some type of show cause that allows you to just keep coaching? If it is, I was not aware of that. Denzel said that info about the dates was coming from the Chuck Oliver show. And Chuck and those guys would keep up with it and certainly would know. It's just, to me, it shows that somebody like me could be ignorant of what a show cause actually is, or if there's different levels. I've always been under the impression, based on everything I've ever heard and read and seen in other cases, that a show cause meant that coach is out. But maybe there are varying degrees of show causes. Because I promise you this, the kind of show cause that Donnie Tyndall at Southern Miss got, and you know, those coaches at Ole Miss got, that kind of show cause, if that had been given to Jimbo, he ain't coaching in no bowl game. He's not coaching in any game. So maybe I'm out to lunch here. Speaking of lunch, Rebel Greg on the Country Pleasin' text says, must try the Country Pleasin' blueberry smoked sausage. You had me at Country Pleasin', blueberry. Anthony from Tupelo says Jimbo did coach in the bowl game. Unnamed texter on the Country Pleasin' text line. Jimbo's penalty also includes a ban on all off-campus recruiting for the fall of 2020 and a 1-year probation for Texas A&M. Those are significant. I think, you know, sometimes we blink or whatever and just move on past the elimination of visits and unofficial visits and recruiting visits, and we think, but it's really a big deal, especially when everybody else can do it and you can't. That can be a really big deal. And that was from Tom Fornelli. So, I mean, it's significant penalties. I just can't figure out what they did with the show cause. You know, do they really expect us to believe that there was a show cause served by Jimbo Fisher Yet he coached in a bowl game, during when he was supposedly serving a show cause. None of it makes any sense to me. Whatever. I will say this, based on the way they were recruiting and the way they're capable of recruiting there, let's be honest. I will say that nobody, literally nobody, is surprised, are they? I'm not. All right, 100 teams in 100 days countdown. We're at 65. Let's do it.
100 teams, 100 days.
The countdown is presented by Matt Anderson Properties, a member of National Land Realty. Call Matt Anderson at 408-5155. That's 408-5155.
All right, so Wake Forest of the ACC, number 65. Here we go. Fights on. That's right. Number 65 on the list is Wake Forest. This is our countdown, brought to you by Matt Anderson with National Land Realty. He can help you buy or sell that piece of property with the Land 360 interactive touring. You can see the whole property 360 degrees without ever setting foot on it. It's great. And if you're selling property, get comprehensive internet traffic reports for your listing. Matt will provide that for you. Call it, Matt Anderson, at 408-5155, 408-5155. Wake Forest. They had a good year last year. The transfer quarterback left and went to Georgia. They were 8-4 in the regular season at Wake Forest. They were off to a 5-0 start last year with wins over Utah State, Rice, North Carolina, Elon, and Boston College. They were 5-0. And then in week 6, they lost at home to Louisville, 62-59. If you listen, because of the scoring, and it was not overtime, if you would like to watch an offensive shootout of a couple of teams that you have no care who wins, you just want to find an old game on YouTube that might be entertaining to watch that one. Louisville 62, Wake Forest 59. Then they won 2 in a row over Florida State and NC State, so not just a 5-0 start, a 7-1 start to the year. But the problem was the month of November. They had a really tough schedule in November. 3 of their 4 games last year were on the road in November, so they lost at Virginia Tech. They lost at Clemson. They beat Duke in a close game and then lost the season finale in overtime to Syracuse, and then lost their bowl game too, so they tacked on another loss there. Dave Clawson is a really good football coach. He is going into his 7th year at Wake Forest. He left Bowling Green. Some of you State fans may remember he led a Bowling Green team into Starkville and played against Dan Mullen and them way back, like 2012, 13, something like that. And they were competitive. He's a really good football coach. He's done a nice job at Wake, a place that's kind of hard to win. But he's going into his 7th year. 2 interesting facts, and then I'm coming to walk and bully. Number 1, they are the Demon Deacons. The history of the Demon Deacon blends tradition, sports, and religion. It goes back to the Roaring '20s, when a school reporter gave the football team the nickname Demon Deacons after a devilish win over the Trinity Blue Devils, now known as the Duke Blue Devils. At the time, Wake Forest was the only college in the state without a mascot. In 1941, a student took on a fraternity brother's dare and dressed up as he thought an old-time Baptist deacon would. Top hat, tuxedo, and carrying a black umbrella. The football crowd loved it. A tradition was born. And in 1980, the Demon Deacon evolved into a complete costume with a large deacon head. I found a photo of the Demon Deacon riding a Harley lowrider motorcycle across the field, carrying Arnold Palmer on the back of it. When you look up the list of the famous alumni from Wake Forest, it's not a football school. Ain't none of those. It could be a basketball school. Tons of former players. Chris Paul, Tim Duncan, just on and on and on. They are a golf school. Arnold Palmer, Curtis Strange, Jay Haas. The list goes on and on and on. Lanny Watkins, Bill Haas, Billy Andrade, Scott Hoke, Webb Simpson. I met Scott Hoke, by the way, in a Walgreens in Biloxi a few years ago. He was there for the tournament down there. And oh, by the way, Carol O'Connor, the actor, remember In the Heat of the Night, before that, All in the Family? Yep, he's a Wake Forest grad. All right, that's your countdown brought to you by Matt Anderson with National Land Realty. Let's head over here to the Davini Equipment phone line. Walking Bully is hanging on. What's up, Walking Bully?
Hey, Matt, I'll be quick. I know
All right.
music's going to start soon. I have not read the Texas A&M report, but my understanding of show calls is the show calls as to why you can't be hired, not why you can't continue in the role that you're in.
Okay.
Which I know seems like, well, what's the point of the penalty, right? But
Yeah.
if that's true, there's a guy named Brennan Chapman on Twitter, used to be on Ole Miss's staff, and he's tweeting out some stuff now that they were told, he used to be on Ole Miss staff, and they were told by Sankey that this bump rule, or a bump violation that's in the that is in the report, that if your head coach is hit for that, it's an automatic suspension. So his question, and he tweeted it at Sankey, is where's the suspension? Because the show calls is only that you can't be hired, and you're already hired. And the only penalty would be a suspension in your current role. So
suspension.
that's just something to look for.
Okay, so they don't have to fire him, but for instance, Walking Bully, Joe, who's listening and watching on Facebook right now on the live stream, says, per the NCAA paperwork, Jimbo and the assistant coach are to serve as show cause from today through December 31st, 2020. So we're not saying if they fire them, but if they're serving a show cause for the rest of this year, if they were suspended, then they're not coaching, obviously. So
that's what you would think. If they're putting parameters on the show calls, you know, that it's not, it doesn't apply to being able to coach. Maybe it's only to off camp recruiting activities.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, and that's it. I mean, there's all this limitations they've placed on them, but none of it, I'm not seeing a single thing out here that says he can't coach. So I think
Right.
what I've got to look at and what we've got to look at, Walking Bully, is that this is the first time in my life I was 43 years old when I learned you could get a show cause and still coach.
Apparently.
Appreciate the call, man. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. Nobody knows what the heck's going on. Y'all realize that? Nobody knows what's going on. I just know hour 2's coming up next. That's all I do know. Stick around.
You're listening to The Matt Wyatt Show.
Farm Bureau Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Hey, like my hog hat. That stands for Country Pleasin' Sausage. Country Meat Packers is a great Mississippi company. Let me tell you a little bit about them, huh? You want to know the reason that you need to sit down at the table and say, country pleasin', please? Here's why. It all starts with hand-picked, pure pork. No parts, no stuff. It's hand-picked ham, bacons, pork loins, the real deal. They produce Country Pleasin' in small batches also, which means consistency in every package. Spices, fresh ones that are mixed daily on site right there at the plant in Florence. The hand-picked pure pork is coarse ground for an old-style snappy bite, better flavor. Now, their smokehouses are not cookie-cutter houses either. They are designed and built for country meat packers and for their own smoking methods. And they use hickory logs that they split daily on site. They don't use hickory sawdust. The logs produce a better smoke, a stronger flavor. It's the real deal. They use a natural, hog casing for their sausage. It's soaked in vinegar for a tender snap. Country Pleasing sausage is smoked in a 4-hour pure smoke process for the best color and flavor. And here's the thing, it's hand cut, so the package experience is great as well. When you check it out on grocery store shelves throughout the Southeast, you'll see what I'm talking about. And frankly, let me put it this way. It's the best tasting sausage you'll put in your mouth every time, period. That's Country Pleasing. Have yourself a Country Pleasing morning, and always text the show on the Country Pleasing text line.
Guys, 2020 is here. So new year, that means we got some new products, and I know you guys are probably getting ready for this year coming up. So a lot of people in the equipment world, you know, things kind of go in trends, I guess, if you want to say it. So kind of the first big thing for 2020 that we look at when we start evaluating our business is going to be our turf equipment. That's kind of the first big push, because once everything, the water dries up and the grass starts growing, this is what everybody's looking to get. So we've got Kubota, we've got Toro, we carry the new Wright stand-up mower. Doesn't look like much, and it's dirty as all get out. But this thing is, and it costs just as much as zero turn. Not a cheap unit at all. I mean, if you go out there and look at that zero turn, this thing right here, I mean, it's got all your components from your big pumps to your commercial engine to your large steel deck. And these guys were the first ones to make the standard mower. So we added this product last year, and I was just trying to kind of wade in the water with it just to kind of see what they would do. Number one stand-on mower out there. If you do your own research, get online, all roads are going to basically lead back to Wright. So and Red Max, so, you know, from the handheld to the Red Max mowers, we have everything here at Davini. You've got homeowner mowers, starting with a 100 series, going up to the 400 series, going up to your full-blown commercial 700 series and your diesel mowers. Yeah, so we've already gotten a lot of calls this year, commercial guys. They're getting ready to plan this coming up season, this coming up year, trying to get their equipment needs ready to go for their customers. So, you know, a big part of our business is dealing with the landscape contractors, those guys that are out every day busting it during the summertime, cutting yards, cutting lawns, maintaining properties. We've got everything that you guys need to have your season going, and then we have the service to back it up as well, service and parts to back it up as well. Just like this machine right here, this is your Z781i, which is going to be your electronic fuel injected Kubota 60-inch commercial unit. These just came out last year. Big hit for us last season. So really looking forward to getting more of these out in the field for you guys this year. So if you've got a business, landscape contractors, you guys come see us.
First up, Farm Bureau. You hear me talk about Farm Bureau Insurance, Mississippi Farm Bureau Insurance. And here's a couple things I want you to know about Farm Bureau Insurance in Mississippi. Number one, they call themselves the home team. There's a reason for that. It's not just that most of your local agents throughout all 82 counties are people that are from right here. In terms of, like, if anything ever did need to go up the chain a little bit, Jackson is as far as you're going. It's not another state. It's not an 800 number with some answering service. They call themselves the home team at Farm Bureau, and they really are your hometown heroes. You know, you hear me say that C-Spire is the number one network in Mississippi. That's unquestioned. They are another great Mississippi company as well and really support local sports. High school, you know, you see their logo and their advertisements at Ole Miss and at Mississippi State and at Southern Miss and everywhere. And you may have heard this, you may not have, though. I mentioned this recently on the show, but there's a new thing they have at C-Spire called the Spire Health App. Okay, go to cspirehealth.com, read about it, sign up, and you put that app on your phone. And basically, if you have a minor ailment, a sickness, a minor health issue, something that, you know, we're not talking about a broken leg or a heart attack. I mean, you know, minor sickness ailments, instead of having to go to the doctor for that and sit in the doctor's office for an hour, if you live out, you know, drive 40 minutes just to get to the doctor's office, you pick up the phone, click on the C-Spire Health app, and within minutes, you are video chatting, like FaceTime. You're video conferencing, talking to a medical professional at University Medical Center. One-on-one, live conversation, like nurse practitioner or something like that. And
It won't be long.
Wyatt back to throw. Wyatt looks. Fires toward the end zone. Passes. Caught for a touchdown by Matthew Butler.
Speak to.
They are who we thought they were. And we let them off the hook.
I get out of hand. Just tell me I'm a jerk and shut up.
Let's go scatter the west, right, tight. That's left. 372 Y stick C-spot.
The Matt Wyatt Show. He's Radio Wyatt.
Well, how am I going to go to college? I'll just play football.
All right, here we go. Hour 2 underway. I'm Matt in the Farm Bureau studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance across the state of Mississippi. We're staying connected to you here on the show, and I stay connected to you around the clock with this handy-dandy iPhone from Spire, the #1 network in Mississippi, Spire, where they are customer-inspired. Thanks for tuning in. I just poured every last drop of the remaining coffee from that thermos into this cup, and it's hot. You can't see it, but I can. It's steaming, and so I'm in a good mood. I got hot coffee for the remainder of the show today. Hallelujah! Hot coffee from High Point Roasters in New Albany. highpointroasters.com. Y'all check it out. I just opened this bag of coffee beans from High Point. It's the Ethiopia blend. That's not a blend. It's just that it's a little different. Like the beans are a little smaller, a little bit different color. They're like a lighter, what would you call it? Roast? I don't know. I just know I really like it. It's really good. Y'all need to try it. highpointroasters.com and get yours. All right, you can text me, you can call, and we'll kind of kick it off in hour 2. There is some stuff to get into in regards to positive tests for college football players around the country as all the teams come back and report. And I got some numbers for you, some stuff being reported out there. So there's a little news on that today. But I think you know this. There's going to be a little carryover in our conversation probably with this news that went right before lunch today and popped out there about Texas A&M getting popped by the NCAA. There's probation, there's recruiting limitations, and show cause orders for Jimbo Fisher and an assistant. But we are learning together, and I'm learning thanks to your help. Y'all are looking a lot of this stuff up and telling me all about it, that you can get a show cause but still coach. I didn't think that was possible. I've always had the impression that show causes immediately took somebody out of coaching for the not only the period of that show cause, but it made it really hard for them to get back into coaching and be hired anywhere. You know, apparently not. Because it's a show cause, what it's saying, that they get a show cause. But as Joe is telling me on the Facebook live stream, and by the way, thanks to everybody watching on Facebook, everybody that's tuned into the live stream on YouTube and Periscope, y'all feel free to comment. I'll see all your stuff. Joe on Facebook says there's nothing in the agreement. And that's the right word, too. The NCAA, if you look it up at ncaa.org, it says there's what? A conclusion, you know, or an agreement between the NCAA and the school on the findings and the penalties or whatever. So agreement. It says nothing in the agreement, right? Because they didn't go to like a hearing. This wasn't something where they majorly disputed it and forced the NCAA to hand down major penalties. They didn't fight it. They just came to an agreement. Nothing in the agreement about Jimbo being suspended. All the penalties mentioned for him limit his ability to recruit through phone calls and off-campus stuff. Listen. Y'all, can we step back for just a minute? I mean, the Ole Miss Vader, earlier in the first hour on the Periscope live feed, said, wow, you mean Ole Miss isn't the only one that cheats? Hashtag War Eagle. Listen. Let's just step back a minute. When we got the news in the first hour, my reaction was, look, I mean, you know, A&M has been recruiting lights out since Jimbo got there. We're not all that surprised that they had a few rules they broke, and it added up on them, and now they get popped with a few penalties. It's just NCAA penalties. It's not like anybody's going to jail or anything like that. We got to make sure we keep that distinction. We even had what I assume is just this perpetual agreement with something that someone said. I think it was somebody watching us on YouTube today. Was it YouTube or? Yeah, it was Sean watching on YouTube who said, if you go 65 miles an hour in a 55, you're okay. But if you go 100 in a 55, you eventually get caught. Okay, we pretty much all agree with that. That's kind of what was going on. But let's step back a minute and just look at it from a little bit, maybe up in the hot air balloon, a little bit higher up. Jimbo Fisher wins a national championship at Florida State. It did fall apart on him. Okay, but he did it. Jimbo Fisher's had a lot of first-round draft pick quarterbacks under his tutelage over the years, right? Didn't Jamarcus Russell play for him at LSU? And of course, you got Jameis winning a Heisman, going number 1 out of Florida State. He's had some big-time players at quarterback. And he comes to the SEC. Let's look at the whole situation. I don't have to explain all this to you. This guy with a history of producing first-round quarterbacks and already has a national championship and already has a history of recruiting well. I've told you this before. All these years that Dabo Swinney and Clemson have been building their program into this, every year they're a national championship contender. They're right up there with Alabama. During that whole time, over the last 5, 6, 7 years in the ACC that Clemson was building all of that, every year there was a team finishing number 1 in the recruiting rankings in the ACC, and it wasn't Clemson. Every year it was Florida State. Florida State was the number 1 recruiter in the ACC for about 5 straight years, the whole time Clemson's beating everybody. His reputation as a developer of quarterbacks, as a winning coach, and as a great recruiter were legit. He had it all. He could back it all up. And here he comes to the SEC, not just to any place, but to Texas A&M, who a lot of people, and rightfully so, have been looking and wondering, when is that giant going to wake up with their stadium and their fan base in that state with that kind of money? Folks, they've got more money than anybody in the Southeastern Conference, anybody else. They don't have the biggest endowment in the country, and I don't understand all I know about that, but I know it means something. But they're close to the biggest endowment. I think it maybe is the biggest endowment in the SEC. So everybody's been wondering about the sleeping giant. And if we just for a minute, just for a second, want to entertain a black helicopter theory, all that reputation and winning, Jimbo Fisher comes to that sleeping giant, and 2 years in a row, he finishes in the top 6 in the country in recruiting. And all of a sudden, they get popped by the NCAA. And everybody wonders, can you out-recruit Alabama, or can you beat Alabama without getting in NCAA hot water? If A&M had finished, instead of the top 6 in recruiting 2 years in a row, what if they had finished in the top 16 2 years in a row? Is the NCAA even in College Station? I'm asking a serious question. All I'm saying is that these leagues and these conferences under the NCAA umbrella continue to give the conspiracy theorists more and more ammunition every year that fuels those conspiracies. That's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is, if you want to stop fueling the conspiracies out there, then stop giving them fuel. That's all I'm saying about it. Coming to your text in just a sec. Tyler, who's watching on Periscope, says, who underachieves more in regards to the amount of resources they have, Texas A&M or Georgia? Without question, it ain't even close. The answer is Texas A&M. Why? They have more resources than Georgia and less success than Georgia. True. I mean, Georgia's been to Atlanta. Georgia has for several years either been right there with or even out-recruited Alabama 2 or 3 times. Yeah. At least they've been there. I mean, A&M there's no question that A&M has been, compared to the resources, for whatever that means, A&M has been the underachiever. What I think in reality, Tyler, it shows us is just because we equate resources with Alabama's winning, we shouldn't. You cannot buy wins and championships. You can go out and buy recruits. You still can't go out and buy wins and championships. It just doesn't work that way. That won't ever be the deciding factor. The deciding factors will be the Nick Sabans and the Derrick Henrys and the Tua Tagovailoas. Do they actually do it when the clock is still ticking up there? Not in February. The Ole Miss Vader says the difference in Jimbo Fisher was not having to compete against Nick Saban and Alabama and LSU and Auburn when he was at Florida State every year. And you're right about that. And what's funny about that too, Vader, go back and look. There's all kinds of sound clips from all those ACC coaches, including Jimbo Fisher, when they would do ACC media days back in the day, and he'd say, here in the ACC, it's just as tough as the SEC. There ain't no difference. Well, ask him now. Country Please and text line. Clint, text me, 885-ESPN. Clint says, a lot of money at stake, especially for the SEC and other major conferences. Let's say we do have a football season. All right, you're doing a great job here, Clint, of helping me transition into something I think I need to get out there for y'all. And that is a little reporting out there about numbers of players testing positive for COVID and having to be quarantined at different schools and stuff. So thank you for your text. He says, if a team or coaches come down with the virus, will games be canceled? Unless, Clint, look in my eyes. Unless something develops between now and football season, the answer to that is absolutely yes. It's uncomfortable to think about. It's weird. We hate it as fans and everything. And just as people, we hate it. Listen, unless something major develops between now and then, you say, if a team or coaches come down with the virus, will there be games canceled? There will be games canceled. Yes. There will be outbreaks on certain teams. A lot, if not all of those cases, won't be the serious kind that is going to kill somebody, but they are serious enough because there's no vaccine, working on treatments, and therefore they've got to be quarantined. Therefore, games will be canceled. Let's get ready for it. Your next question, does the infected team forfeit? No. There will not be forfeits because of this kind of thing. There will either be wins and losses in games played, or there'll be nothing for games that don't get played. What will the effect on the rankings and standings be? Excellent question. I don't know. Will it be win percentage? Will they have to back it off and do something about, I don't know. And then he says, I've been following the PGA Tour since its return. It is obviously easier for one player to withdraw from a tournament when infected than a college football team to forfeit a game. No question about it. It's just a different animal with football. Many, many people who love the sport disagree emphatically with me. I say they will play football to some degree, maybe to the whole thing. There are others who right now have already made their mind up, who love the sport just as much as I do. They're not playing. So nobody really knows what's going on. This is the story, and then coming to a couple things. Oklahoma is reporting 7 positive tests for COVID out of 111 football players who were tested recently. Another 7, other than those, had active cases before testing, but apparently when they came back and were tested, then they were negative for it. But they had been tested positive for it before, and I guess it ran its course and they were no longer positive for the virus. So 14 who've had it, 7 currently. That's at Oklahoma. They just reported that, 24 hours ago? Now, within that same time frame, this might even be a little more recent. I think, this is posted at Gene's page 24/7 by Robbie Falk, who covers Mississippi State for them, 20 hours ago. He says just 2 weeks after Mississippi State had players test positive for the novel coronavirus, they are quarantining several players after another tested positive. Sources tell Gene's page that one of Mississippi State's newcomers arrived on campus last week, tested positive, but was asymptomatic. 6 of the 14 players that moved in at Mississippi State for the first time last week are in quarantine. All the players were given the option to return home or stay on campus in quarantine, which is a 14-day period from the time of the testing last Thursday. We're already 7 days into it. They've got to go 7 more. You go, well, 6 players that test positive? No. This is one newcomer. When the 14 newcomers come, one comes in, test positive. They start doing contact tracing. Who have you been around? Who could you have possibly touched? Who could have touched something after you touched it? Who were you within 6 feet of? And all those names. And so now we got the 1 positive and 5 others that are all being quarantined because one's got it and 5 could have come in contact. See how that's working? So it's a multiplication issue. And that's what I and many others have been missing in this conversation about college football season and its likelihood and how it's going to be affected. Y'all, before the Texas A&M stuff broke today, before hour 1, the headline I was putting out, like on the live stream on Facebook and YouTube, and you'd see it on Twitter and everything, it was going to be this. Is COVID-19 going to delay or cancel football in college football and the NFL? Now, obviously, we changed because we had breaking news about Texas A&M. But that is the question. Let's drill it down to that. Not, are we going to play some games? Are there going to be fans? Just wipe all that off the board. Let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Where's that soundbite? Doggone, I know I've got it somewhere in here. Where, what's his name? Nacho says, let's get on the nitty-gritty. And then you hear like a coyote howling in the background.
So anyways, let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
Let's get down to the nitty-gritty. The nitty-gritty is this. Is the season in college or the NFL going to be delayed or possibly canceled? Here's what I think we have to understand is unless something changes, it's not just how many players test positive. Does a coach test positive? It's when one person tests positive. Does, through contact tracing, which we are doing now, does everybody that's been in the huddle with him have to quarantine for 14 days? Does everyone who's been in a team meeting with him have to quarantine for 14 days? Does everybody who was within 6 feet of him in the stretching formation before practice, in the locker room getting dressed, on the bus going to the airport after last Saturday's game, does everybody on the bus have to quarantine for 14 days because they could have come in contact with the one who tested positive? I mean, I'm the least negative and pessimistic person about all this stuff and have been. We're going to play, and I've told you the reasons why. But I'm afraid that's the part I've been missing. When I read this about Mississippi State, 6 players didn't test positive when the 14 came back. 1 did. Hold on, I got a warning on my screen here. 1 did, but now 6 are quarantined. So the 1 plus the 5 who could have come in close contact enough that they might have it too. And Ehart on YouTube, I love your question. Would it be a big deal to delay it a month? You say, I would assume so, due to the TV contracts and so forth. I still think there is too much money at stake in football to cancel. I align with you. They're not going to cancel it. And they will play some games. All, we'll see. But 2.5, 3 months ago, they were already discussing an October 1st start for college football, and TV was on board. Because of the resurgence, I think that's back where we are. I really do. Just where we are. It changes day by day. Stick around.
Hey guys, with everything going on in
Insurance stands ready to provide financial relief to our communities in this time of crisis. This includes a one-time credit to all personal auto policyholders, a donation of $500,000 to the Mississippi Food Network, and additional payment options for those hit the hardest, all while continuing to service customer claims as well. But this is the time to go above and beyond. These are a few ways we're keeping the Farm Bureau promise. To learn more, talk to your agent or visit us online. Go with the home team.
Campuses are empty. The arenas are silent. People here today are few and far between. But soon, a crowd will show up. It's not a matter of if football will be played here. It's a matter of when.
I'll be there. I'm sure you will be too. I'll see you there.
It won't be long now. Can you imagine the return of the crowds to see the return of the team? What a day that will be. And it will be soon.
Every farmer understands their farm can't thrive without some good partners like sun, soil, and rain. And farmers in North Mississippi also rely on another important partner, Mississippi Land Bank, because land and farm financing are Mississippi Land Bank's primary focus. We've grown alongside these farmers' crops for more than 100 years. We understand what a farmer needs, and we know the lay of the land in North Mississippi, and that's where I stand.
How you like my hog hat? That stands for Country Pleasing Sausage. Country Meat Packers, a great Mississippi company. Let me tell you a little bit about them, huh? You want to know the reason that you need to sit down at the table and say, country pleasing, please? Here's why. It all starts with hand-picked, pure pork. No parts, no stuff. It's hand-picked ham, bacons, pork loins, the real deal. They produce country pleasing in small batches also, which means consistency in every package. Spices, fresh ones that are mixed daily on site right there at the plant in Florence. The hand-picked pure pork is coarse ground for an old-style snappy bite, better flavor. Now, their smokehouses are not cookie-cutter houses either. They are designed and built for country meat packers and for their own smoking methods. And they use hickory logs that they split daily on site. They don't use hickory sawdust. The logs produce a better smoke, a stronger flavor. It's the real deal. They use a... All right. Here we go. Rolling along with you on this Thursday. I'm Matt in the Farm Bureau studio. Farm Bureau, go with the home team. They are your home team at Farm Bureau Insurance across the great state of Mississippi. Are you sleeping okay at night? Has all this stuff got you up, tossing and turning? Well, it might not be your worry or your stress. It might actually just be your mattress. If you haven't thought about it, you need to. Trust me, and I'm telling you from experience. But especially if you're already thinking about it, you're already in the market, give Nest and Wild a try. They are a Mississippi company. My wife and I got a new mattress. We have a king size in our room, and so we got a new mattress from Nest and Wild. Nest and Wild. It's nestandwild.com. Every mattress they make is 12 inches thick. Not 8, not 10, like a lot of the ones you have now and order from other places. Every one, from twin-size mattresses right on up to the biggest king size, is 12 inches thick. They deliver to your door in 3 to 5 business days. The mattress and the base, 100% American-made, top to bottom. Proceeds of every mattress sale go to benefit cancer research and the Jason Mott Foundation. Every purchase, you're helping. You can order a mattress and sleep on it for up to 99 nights while you make a decision whether or not you want to keep it permanently. And it's great prices too. A Mississippi company, all American made product. This would be a great weekend to go ahead and make that plunge and try it out. We are sleeping better than ever. My wife told me this morning, you were sleeping so sound last night. She said, I came in there and was making noise, and usually that stuff wakes you up. You didn't even budge. I know. Try it. nestandwild.com. All right. Let's see. Where are we now? Let me get caught up here. 904 Hurricane over here on the YouTube live feed says, great conversation. Hit the like button. Yeah, y'all hit that like button. Appreciate that. Now, the Ole Miss Vader said, do you think that the Cam Newton situation with Auburn and Mississippi State changed the way that the NCAA looked at recruiting and violations? You know, boy, you could talk about that for a long time. And I have a good friend who has since always referred to all of this as we are now in the post-Cam Newton era. And I used to wonder what he meant by that. But here's what he meant. Out in the open. It's out in the open. We all know. We all saw it. We heard it. And it wasn't just rumors on a message board. It was actual reporting with actual recordings of phone conversations and all this kind of BS. And it even involved a coach and his wife who were in on the conversation. When they were told by the representation of this free agent college recruit, here's how much money it's going to take for him to come to Mississippi State. And the coach and those folks are a little knocked back going, well, we can't be we can't be a part of this. It's too out in the open. We can't be a part of that. And then the kid on the phone with them says, it's just too much money. I got to go. And who's going to blame them? Okay. And to this day, right now, July the 2nd, 2020, the only people on the face of this earth, and that is literal. I am talking, that is literal. When I say the only people on the face of this earth who still believe that Auburn didn't pay them a bunch of money for Cam Newton to go there is a few select Auburn fans. It's the only ones who believe it. And at this point, you're right. Because we are in the post-Cam Newton era, everything has been so out in the open since then. There's been this enlightenment, and there's not nearly as much of a negative connotation anymore of what went on then. We don't know. You know, the rumors he wanted $180,000, or his family was asking for $180,000 from state. And everybody goes, oh, well, he must have absolutely gotten that much. You know, I don't know. Once they could have been in the middle of paying them all that money in installments, certain ways, running it through here, running it through there, and this benefit, that benefit, and then it all gets put to a stop because now all of a sudden the NCAA's sniffing around. We just got to stop, and maybe that's what they did. I just will never forget, and bless their hearts. I kind of feel sorry for them, but looking back on that, I remember, Mike Slive was the commissioner of the SEC and had worked so hard to improve the reputation of the SEC in regards to cheating and teams being on probation constantly and people getting punished. He worked so hard to try to clean that up, at least out in the public eye. And then there was that. Boom. And then, and people like Tony Barnhart. Tony is, by all accounts, a great guy and has been a long time good soldier, media member covering the SEC, originally from Georgia. And man, he was a part of CBS back then, and he had to get on national television holding a mic, looking into a camera. I think it was right before the Auburn and Georgia game that year. And he had to feed the whole country a line of BS that it was almost like watching him. You could tell, man, he doesn't believe what he's saying. But doggone, he sure got to do it. Because they're all in on this. And the last thing CBS wanted was Cam Newton not playing in that game. We forget how much of a draw he was that one year. That was a heck of an experience to live through. It really was. And after that, you're exactly right. Since then, there were different things changed. What did they do? Since then, they didn't catch them. But what did they do? They changed right around 2012, their policies in the NCAA. They started saying, we're putting in this new stuff where now we're just going after coaches. We're going to go after coaches and the people involved, and we're not going to punish entire programs and schools as much going forward. A lot of that was a result of that. Oh, it changed a lot of things. I think the biggest thing it changed was the perception of benefits in recruiting out in the open now for the entire country. What was it Charles Barkley said? A couple of years after that, some camera in a locker room of a charity basketball game. He said, that's just a good bleeping investment, what Auburn paid Cam Newton. Well, you know what the whole country did for the most part? They went, well, yeah, it was. Look, you've got Mississippi State fans right now who look you straight in the eye and go, to heck with probation or penalties. We should have just come up with the money and paid the guy and got him there, because with Cam Newton there 1 year with that defense, Mississippi State's team that year in 2010 won 9 games, had one of the better defenses in the country, had about 3 or 4 NFL players on that defense, ran Michigan, just ran them off the field in the Gator Bowl at the end of that year, and Chris Relf was the quarterback the whole time. And they were going, not that you don't appreciate Chris Relf, but if you'd had Cam Newton on that team with that defense, State would have played for a national championship. There's no guarantee. But outside of Cam Newton and Nick Fairley on that national championship team, tell me about Auburn. Tell me all about that team outside of those two guys. You don't think that one Superman quarterback could make a difference? How about that, Ole Miss Vader? You didn't know you were going to get 10 minutes of that when you asked that simple question on Periscope, did you? And run tell them Auburn fans I said it. And I love Auburn. It's a great place. Love going over there. Like their uniforms and got a bunch of Auburn family. I'll tell them. I'll tell them. Some of my Auburn friends and family. Y'all the only people on the whole earth who still believe you didn't pay Cam Newton something to come over there. Come on now. And nobody's really even mad at you about it anymore. I kind of admire how slippery you were. And Danny, thank you for the kind words. He's watching on the YouTube live stream. He says, loving the YouTube option. It's the easiest way to enjoy the show outside of a vehicle. All right. Well, that's right. If you're in the vehicle, you want to tune into 105.9 ESPN Jackson, Central Mississippi. And let's see. Beaver, hey, we're not here tomorrow. We're off tomorrow, right, for July 4th?
Yeah, we're taking tomorrow for the 4th.
Okay, because the 4th is Saturday. Okay, so we'll be back on Monday. So we have today. We got one more segment to go today, but if you're tuning in, we're out tomorrow celebrating the 4th. We'll all be back on Monday. And if you're just tuning in, y'all tune in on Monday because I will have, and Jake in the afternoons will have some little news nugget for you. Little heads up on something. I think you'll like it.
News.
Now all we need, Beaver, is you going, Monday. It'll turn it into like a wrestling promo. But then it might be a letdown. You never know. Yeah, so we'll just keep it flat. All right. A little bit more to go with you here on this Thursday to finish out the week. Stick around.
You're listening to The Matt Wyatt